Alright, so it's been about 2.5 weeks since we had the greenhouse built. We've gradually got everything inside the greenhouse. One of the major things with the greenhouse we discovered is the doors are tricky. We haven't bothered with trying to get them
Sealed.
or centered or...
Because we need to escape. We have an actual evaporative cooler, so it actually needs air escape anyway, so why bother sealing it? We need to escape anyway. Right now it says roughly 78 degrees and 42% humidity, which is good. That's what we're aiming for. So overall, our growth has been, I don't know what the term is, but extreme.
Exponential?
It's extreme. If you look, when we put these plants, this one, all of these started at roughly about half the size, and they've just gone crazy. So if you notice, look at the base of the plant. That was half the size from like 2 weeks ago, from when we first put it in here. So this has gone crazy. Now we have noticed that there's a little bit of leaf curl, and from what we understand, which is very little, it's supposed to mean that it's overwatered or root bound.
Yeah,
or
waterlogged and root bound is what we got, but
I mean, these are hydroponic plants, so these plants are nuts. Look at that. That's
Good.
taking up the whole bucket. The whole bucket. And
an
they're
indication of healthy roots is
all
that they're white
clean,
or cream.
white, creamy. Perfect roots. And that's taking up everything. So I'm pretty sure there's nothing we have to worry about.
It's
Considering it's still growing massively, and looks healthy. I mean, regardless of the root curl, I mean, what can you really?
They're doing it. They're
Whatever.
doing what they gotta do.
It's doing its thing. So yeah, I mean, just you can just tell they're just healthy. They're thick. They're rigid. They love being here.
We're
This
getting
is
flowers
our
on it already.
pepper.
That's the chocolate poblano.
So I mean, it's doing all right. I mean, it's not anything, you know, anything like tomatoes, but just take a look. But they're still doing relatively okay. I mean, they're slightly not as white and creamy, but that's, you know, that's what peppers look like. So
Still doing good.
yeah, I mean, they're still doing the thing. So they love this nutrient water, and this is just, we're mixing up batches of, or trying to dechlorinate the water for our stuff. We'll use that for, you know, our plants. We'll use that for fish tanks, yada yada. This is just something that is a side note, just a little. We went down to New Orleans, and I really love Spanish moss. I like all the stuff that grows off of the trees, and we're just kind of experimenting to see if it grows. Hoping that the high humidity and sunlight would help it grow. We'll see. I don't know if it's actually doing this thing or not. It could be dead. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so tomato, excellent. We kind of
That one split. That one did some weird genetic
this one
stuff.
split overnight and just went nuts. It's a
I don't know.
genetic.
Get that camera. Can you show in there the little?
You can see the split. So we take care of these things. We start capturing the suckers and all that daily.
See, right,
But
right
this
here.
this one just went
It's like a Siamese twin there.
crazy, and we didn't catch it. I don't know how that happened, but it just happened. So we're just gonna let it do its thing.
We got two tops going right now. Lots of flowers. We'll figure out which one's going to be the dominant top later.
So the ones that we have in soil are not really doing so great. I mean, we put some soil amendments in there like blood meal and some green sand and such, but I don't know. We're not really hopeful. We'll just see what happens. Most of this is just kind of experimentation, so we're just gonna see what happens. But right now, I mean, our strawberries we've been eating strawberries almost daily here, so you can see, look, there's one ready for fruiting for picking right now. And so we've got a couple different ones. Obviously, there's a Sequoia, Seascape, All-Star,
And a Chandler.
and a Chandler. Some of these are doing their own thing, but you can see that they're obviously thriving. I mean, there's all kinds of strawberries growing off of this thing. So,
We
Oh, no, I
have
guess
discovered that
doing
we
all right.
like the Sequoia better than the Seascape.
yeah, the better flavor, for sure.
They're all delicious, but the Sequoias are definitely sweeter.
And so you can see all these little fruits right here. These are off of, what is this now? The All-Star. So, I mean, we have yet to try those, but they're doing their thing.
So this one here is a June bearing. It'll produce all of its fruit at once. And that's the All-Star. The Chandler is a 6-month bearing, or 3-month bearing. So it'll produce all of its fruit within 3 months. The other two are ever bearing.
More lettuce that we decided to put through soil. They're not really thriving as much as our hydroponics are. Our other tomato,
Chocolate cherry,
this chocolate cherry, right?
also from seed. All these from seed. With the exception of the strawberries.
And our towers.
Then we have our towers. I love these towers. Which, the only thing I don't love is that we keep having an issue with it leaking. Right here. Gotta figure out where it's all coming from, and it keeps leaking and we're not quite sure. Sometimes it has to do with how it's hanging or how the lettuce is hanging out of it, but
Well, we noticed that Aiden, take a pic right here. These get real heavy, and so a lot of times the water starts escaping just because on sheer weight.
it runs down the
I'm
side
not
of
going to
the
pull
lettuce.
this whole thing out because I don't want the roots to get damaged, but these things have all been here for a substantial amount of time and we're getting salads every night.
Daily, yeah.
Full salads.
We have
Like
a
not
family
just
of
like
5.
you know, not just like, well, you get a little piece of, no, we have some we haven't even eaten, put in bags.
From last night.
We crisp them, we put them in Ziploc bags, and we're gonna eat them tonight and tomorrow.
Family of 5.
So this system definitely does work. It's just I think for further ventures, I think what we need to figure out is a lot of these you can see where the growth just goes kind of like a J hook, like just, you know, and it just gets too heavy. So certain varieties seem to be doing all right, no problem, such as these. This is a Buttercrisp lettuce, and these seem to grow just, you know, just right, to where they grow out and not having to be weighted down. And so I think this is definitely one of those ones we would keep in a tower. Some of these other ones, I mean, they're doing great, but we're losing water. If you can see it, it's pulling up just because as they weight down, they also pull out the water with them. So we have to constantly be putting the cups back in. You can see right here, you can just push that cup back in. But, you know, throughout the day when we're not here and not watching it 24/7, this guy here, you just stick it back down. But we can't be here to monitor that all the time. And this guy here, he's just so robust. I don't even think I could probably even really push him back down. I mean, I could try, but you know, who knows if he's gonna stay there. He's obviously gonna grow more, and he's just gonna say, no, that's not happening. A lot of these are just full girth and just don't want to stay in their little cubby holes. So, but on another note,
our tomato,
we put these tomatoes in. If you can look, this is one tomato from right here all the way down to right, I don't know if you can see it, Aiden, but it's right here.
Keep working on the angles there.
And so this just thrived. It loves it. It's leggy because it obviously was competing with the other stuff we had here, but at this point right here, it's just gone out, and it's gonna do its thing. It's so in love with this place. And then this guy, another tomato, which is started from here all the way up to here, and we actually had to put these on strings because the weight obviously was too heavy. They were falling down. So another little experimentation. These already have, you know, little flowers, maybe some fruit. We'll see. But you can just see the full growth just out of that little tiny 2-inch cup for this guy and this guy. So I am definitely not going to pull out the cup for this because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to get it back in. Whatever roots are on this guy is extreme. They're definitely doing very good. And then,
so you may notice that the water just stopped.
Yeah, we have them on a timer.
So it's 15 minutes on and 15 minutes off, 24 hours a day. So every 15 minutes it'll turn on, run for 15 minutes, and then it's off for 15 minutes. And that's how these towers run.
And this is one of our spinaches. Some of our spinach decided to bolt, and we can actually show you an example of that.
This one here.
Right here, I'm looking at this guy right here. So see how dense this guy is?
We
Super
actually
dense.
harvested him last night for dinner.
Yeah, we already cut him back last night, so he was fuller, and now he's still full. But we can look at this guy.
Yeah, this guy right
little
here.
buddy next to him. he just decided to bolt. So yeah, I guess that's what he's doing. He's bolting. But we'll cycle him out, so we'll see what happens. But the
Might actually get some seeds out of them if you figure that out.
the Buttercrisp lettuce is just going nuts. The romaine is going pretty good. The curly leaf lettuce.
So we have two kinds of curly leaf. Red
And-
curly leaf and green curly leaf.
And these we cut back. We had a 5-gallon tub of salad last night, and this is the remains of what we did last night. So if you can imagine that we just took 5-gallon tub off of this, and this is going to be salads and salads and salads.
Yeah.
So this is I mean, obviously we can still harvest off this right now if we wanted to, but right now we don't need to. So
Now we got two different romaines. We got a green romaine. I think this is a red. We have a green romaine and a red romaine. This one's obviously the red romaine.
but you can just see how beautiful that it's taking to the nutrients right now. It's just crazy. And you'll see this, like this tomato. This tomato right here was one of the runners that came off of that tomato from the backside I was showing you earlier. It's not doing so good right now, but we do have some, and this was the other runner. This was the other sucker. So this sucker's doing pretty good.
Root them.
If not, no big deal. I mean, it was just a cutting anyway. We cut it off, and if nothing else, we just throw it away. But we wanted to see if it would take. This one's not doing so good as of right now, but you know, we'll see what happens. This one actually I think it might actually do something.
Yeah, that one looks a lot better. Still pretty strong.
Right. So, and then not saying that everything works out for us ever all the time, and just saying, like you can see these right here, these
Ones that died.
maybe not just happening so crazy, you know. So we'll actually fill these in with our new spawn from inside that we grow.
Which
We'll
show
fill these
later
in.
the video.
We'll show that. But as of right now, I mean, just so you know, it's not just like we throw it in and just all of a sudden magic happens. No, this is a labor of love, and we love it.
So these are our seedling starters. These are all the butter lettuce that we got growing out there. These are, I don't know how old they are. We've not been very good at keeping track of how old things are, but we're going to get better at it in the future. But these are the great butter lettuce that we had going in that smaller tower on the right side outside. They seem to be doing the best for us, so all of these eventually are going to go back out in the tower. We do...
Pull one up and show the roots.
Let me pull one I pulled out earlier. So right here, it's the root structure we got going on here. We have them all going in rock wool. I started them last time in some other sponge-like substrate that came with these trays. I don't really like that at all. I don't have any around here anywhere. They created a lot of fungus, a lot of white stuff on the top, and it's been giving me a hard time. So I'm going with rock wool to see how that works, and it seems to be doing a lot better. Not noticing any fungus on the top of these. We do have two little things here you may notice that are slightly different. There's this one here and this little tiny one that's trying to pop out here. In addition, because we always do everything hydroponic and soil to see the difference, we've got two little ones back here. These ones are habanadas. They were started on February 20th. And they're habaneros with all the flavor without the heat. So I'm really excited for that because I love the flavor of habanero, but I'm kind of, you know, not that all great with heat. So I'm excited for those. We'll see how those go. I did find one of those little sponge caps here. They're all right, but these are the ones that they create a lot of. It's too spongy. They create a lot of bacteria that catches in those, and I don't like them. But yeah, so this is basically our nursery. We got these little lights. We bought them relatively cheap. They're Home Depot or Home Depot. They are full spectrum lights. We do have them on a timer, which was another relatively cheap Amazon purchase. These things are controlled by your phone via the internet. We have it on a timer, so it's smart controlled. I'm gonna upgrade this eventually. The timer that I have the towers on, if you unplug it and have to plug it back in, it saves whatever you did, which is great because that was 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off for 24 hours, and that was like a good hour of my time programming that. That thing, if I unplug it, it's gone. I have to re-establish it to the internet. I have to re-establish the schedule, all of that. So when you're buying smart plugs for your stuff, it's definitely important that you pay attention and you get what you pay for. So those were cheap, extremely cheap. I was excited for them. I'm dealing with that now. But so this is our little mini nursery. I'm hoping to expand it eventually.
It just doesn't happen because we throw it in there. This is constantly moving stuff around to make stuff happen.
Yep.
And obviously these are not that one, not, you know.
That one was a seed tape.
I've seen weeds do some better growth than that. So
Yeah, that one was a basic seed tape. It was a lettuce mix. You lay the seed tape out and it's supposed to grow you a delicious lettuce blend. That's not really what it gave us. We did transplant some of it into the tower when they were nice. This is one of them.
yeah.
This one's one of them. Not entirely sure what they are because it's part of a seed blend, gourmet blend. But most of them died.
One is actually pretty good. That little leaf I had.
Yep.
And then on the other side of the garden,
So let's start over here.
These
the
are
back
all-
end.
these are all potted plants. Soil. So peppers. Pepper.
Most of them are sweet peppers because we enjoy those better than the hot peppers.
So they're not really doing as great as some of the hydroponics are, but we decided, you know, to try them side by side and see what happened. Obviously, I'm siding with more of the hydroponics side because they grow considerably faster. And it seems to me like it's not really hard work. It's just you know, just keeping up on the nutrient water.
Which
And
right now we're going
pH.
through about 10 gallons a day, seems
Yeah.
like.
Over everything, we're doing about
All of it.
10 gallons of nutrient water a day. And I think we need to cut it. We could cut it back down. We're losing some loss just from evaporation and
The leak.
leakage.
Yeah, if we can get rid of the leak on this one, I bet you we can go with 5 gallons a day. In general.
But on one occasion, it was actually, I think it was probably like a Tuesday or Wednesday, but this guy right here went through, and you can tell, you can see right now, we just filled him up yesterday.
Here.
And he's already about,
Can you show them?
it's hard to see probably by camera, but he's right here, and we filled him up yesterday. So he's sucking up all that nutrient water
Daily.
daily. And it's not because of evaporation or anything, because, I mean, you have an evaporative cooler in here, it's contained, and he's,
Which we should maybe mention that evaporative cooler. That was actually a pretty good
yeah. So
thing we did.
So we'll go back to that, but we have roughly about 40-50% humidity in here anyway, so it's not really evaporation.
There's
But this
sucking
guy
up that
is
of its
sucking
nutrients.
that much nutrient water daily, and his other buddies are right behind him. So if you figure that this is supposed to be right here, or this is supposed to be up to right about here, and he sucked that much, roughly about a gallon. I can tell you that right there is a gallon. He sucked a gallon overnight, or in a day.
Yeah.
So that tells you how much growth, and it's not evaporation. It's all growth. It's him or her, him, she, doing his own thing.
Yep.
And these are about the same, because we filled these all at the same level, and he's down to here, so it's roughly about a little bit. I'd say probably a little bit more than a gallon, because he's right there right now, and we filled him up to right there yesterday. So, yeah. These plants are definitely using it. They're not.
Yes, there's no waste.
No, he didn't waste it. It was not flowing out and seeping out and escaping. No, because these are all self-contained. All it is just a bucket with water, nutrients, and we have air stones which come off of this guy right here. So if you see, this little air pump has all these little ports, and they all go each individually to each one of these buckets.
Including this one. So this is...
Including this, yes. But this is just for dechlorinating water.
But essentially this is what's in each one of those buckets. You see the bubbles coming out of that. Just in each one of these buckets.
So yeah, that's what we got. And I guess if you want to see, we actually have air moving through here, and it's cooled via evaporative air through a cooler that we bought a little after we put this up, this greenhouse. See the register there we installed.
Keeps here circulating.
And it just pushes the cool air from about this level, goes back up, and goes through the vents, the windows that are vented.
And then we have a thermostat here. We keep it pretty high because, you know, this is basically the height of where our plants are going to be. So this determines when that comes on and off.
And it's a thermostat. It's a line voltage thermostat, so it's 120 volts that comes into this, goes back and tells it, the cooler, when to turn on and off. So right now we have it set to 78, roughly, degrees Fahrenheit, based off of this guy. So, we don't have to turn it on and off or worry about any of that. That just kind of just comes on based off of temperature.
Now we have the gravel channel here. So back here, we have a pond liner. In that pond liner is some gravel that we rescued from the alley behind us. And it keeps a constant level of moisture for all of these plants. For a while, we had some of these plants in the pond liner. All those ones in the bucket, the fabric buckets, did not have any. We noticed a definite difference in the moisture level of the soil. So all of these have a constant moisture level that they bring up from the ground. Definite, you know, bottom watering. And it's making a huge difference. From here, we've got a bucket of composted chicken poop. We get this from our neighbor. He has chickens. That stuff has made an incredible difference. We inoculate a lot of the dirt plants with that chicken stuff, and it definitely helps with the growth of all of it. We've also discovered that a lot of times for dinner, we tend to harvest later in the evening. That's not quite summertime here in Arizona. It's springtime. The time, you know, the sun goes down is still semi-early. So the next thing I did was we bought these lights. Now these lights, got them off of Amazon. They are plastic LED. They've got 3 different settings on it. They run on a remote control. So whenever I bring it out, I can hit the button, turns them on. The best part about it is, like he said, they are solar. So if we go back this way, this thing right here gets all the solar light, even through the shade cloth.
Photovoltaic cell.
Yep. So even through the shade cloth, it gets enough solar power to run these lights at night. We can turn them on so that we can harvest our lettuce at night for dinner. I love it. I just got those yesterday. So those lights have a little timer on them, or a little remote on them. I take this remote, I can turn them on. So now anytime we have to harvest at night, we have light inside there. The fun thing about this is that I can change it. This is daylight. I can change it to 4,000 Kelvin. Gives it a nice warm look to it. I can do it even warmer. Doesn't matter. However I want to do it. I like the white light though, mostly because it's easier to see. Now there's a timer. I can set it different settings. Can't really see it in this lighting, but I can set it to 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes, or 40 minutes, 240 minutes. I can also set it at 25%, 50, 75, or 100. I haven't really noticed a huge difference in how bright they are. Basically, they're just bright. But it allows us to harvest at night. I'm not opening the thing just right now. But it does allow us to harvest at night after the sun's gone down without having to use our phones as a flashlight.
Let's take a little walk here. Cooler we mentioned is this guy here. It's evaporative cooler. I don't know if everybody in every part of the world will understand what this is, but where the climate is very dry, these things work great. If your climate is naturally humid, it's not going to work at all. Don't even bother. You're going to have to find other ways to cool your greenhouse. But this is how we do it here. And we actually use them for cooling our houses most of the time. And they're very, very, very efficient. So for instance, like today, if today was the high, and I think today the high was like right
91.
around 90, well, at the point we were out there, 91, but I think 95, 100 degrees, but we can keep this thing maintained at less than 75 degrees easily. And this, like we said, it has a thermostat which tells this when to come on and off. So we don't want it running all the time because we don't want it being, you know, super cold all the time and just inefficient. So we'll have that thermostat tell this thing when to come on, and we'll notice it comes on in the morning for about like a minute. As it gets warmer and warmer throughout the day, we'll notice it comes on for about 10 minutes, and then in the thick of the heat, we'll notice it comes on for about half an hour, 45 minutes. But it still maintains that cool temperature, and that's at the highest part of the greenhouse. So meanwhile, all these plants are still doing very, very, very well. I mean, they're not at 75 degrees, they're probably more like 72, 70 degrees. But yeah, we bought this because, well, we needed it, because without it, we noticed when we put the thermometer in there, you know, at any one point in time, we could see excess of 100 degrees, which is not good for
It got
plants
up to
at all.
110 last time I saw it, and then it shorted out our thermometer.
Yeah, it was just hot, just hot.
It was hot.
So for our dry temperatures, this works great. I don't know where you live, but if you can utilize this, this is a very resourceful way of cooling your greenhouse.
And to be honest, this one wasn't even really that expensive. It only cost us about $300.
Yeah.
Which in the grand scheme of things, you know, based on how much money we're saving on the stuff we're growing, it's a pretty small investment.
Yeah, so all you got basically is 120 volts coming in,
Which we ran an extension cord.
which is an extension cord off our house. And this takes care of, again, the pumps in there, feeding the cooler and the pump in here. So there's a fan motor in here, which blows the cold air, and there's a pump that pumps water through these guys here. It's,
Yeah, little hay filtration, whatever coolers use.
basically, it just drips down, and through the process of evaporation, cools the air. It's a very, very, very simple process. So that's what we got going on here.
And then the yellow cord, we run through it, and that's what powers the pumps in
air
the
pumps
greenhouse.
In the greenhouse. Separate process.
Yep. Off the same extension cord.
And overall, I think this guy here runs at approximately, I think starting current is about 8 amps, but it runs at roughly about like 4. And the pump, the water pump is only like under an amp. It's ridiculous. It's not even worth considering. But if you figure it's 0.7 amps at max, I think it's actually more like 0.3.
So the
Fan
drain on the
motor is
electric.
more like 7 overall balance between the starting current 8 or I don't know. Anyway,
Basically, the
it's-
drain on the
it's under
electric
8
bill
amps.
is minimal.
Yeah, it's not anything you're really gonna see, especially if you put a thermostat in line with it.
Absolutely.
Which, if you need help, I can find you how to, or help you find out how to find that thermostat, how to hook it up. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple. If you're scared of electricity, I'm an electrician, but however, it's
It's easy.
I could show anybody how to do that. It's very, 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 very easy. It's not like you have to know capacitors and diodes and no, you just wire nut, bam, done. It's as long as you don't hook up the wrong ones, and I'll show you which ones not to and which ones to. Very, very easy.
I think the biggest issue we had was trying to figure out the connector, running the hose to the evaporative cooler.
Yeah,
That was a fun
I'm not a plumber.
day at Lowe's.
and this was kind of an
So
adventure
right here.
trying to figure this out. But you,
That little brass connector right there.
so this is actually a something that you'd use for your kitchen fitting, but we made it work. We hooked up a regular hose to it, and bam, done.
Took a little figuring
We
out.
can, we can, if anybody wants answers to these, we can help you find that. We can, if you need a video on it, we can do that. It's not that hard. We can do that too. So for me, it wasn't really any kind of thing to think about, but if anybody needs help, we can do it.
Yep. Next biggest thing we did recently was the compost. We started this one. It was taking us a while to get it going. we're struggling with it. It was frustrating us, and then all of a sudden one day we realized we live in Arizona. And the biggest thing with a compost is it needs to stay moist. Not overly wet, but it definitely needs moisture. So we had to keep watering it every day and thoroughly saturate it. Once we did that, the whole thing kicked. That thing is at least 120 degrees, if not more. It's creating the white biochar stuff that it's supposed to make.
Biochar. I don't know what the proper terminology is,
I don't
but
know
it's doing what it's supposed to do.
is. Yeah.
It's creating that little white
The
film
heat.
in there.
Absolutely. Yep.
So on the outside is obviously it's cool. There's
some bougainvillea
there's some
stuff
sharp
in there.
stuff in there. You gotta be careful.
Bougainvillea's got some thorns that'll stab you to death.
But on the inside, it's definitely hot.
Definitely
it's
hot.
It's hot. So
And it smells like delicious dirt.
yeah, it's got that not ammonia, but it's I don't know.
It's
I
an
don't know how to say
earthy.
it. It's a clean dirt. I don't know if you've been around dirt, you'll know it smells like very good clean dirt, and it's we love it. The smell of the clean dirt.
So
Very
this
nice.
one we started right around the time we finished building the greenhouse. So it's about 2.5 weeks old. That's got going. Day before yesterday, we started this one over here.
Yeah. So this one is we just did yesterday, and I don't really want to turn it just because
It's still doing its thing.
it's still new. So, but what I will do is put some of the brown stuff back up on here. And so we've been recycling cardboard because we got a lot of Amazon packages and such, and well,
Good portion of this is from the package that the greenhouse came in.
So what we ended up doing was just cutting it up into little tiny pieces via this guy here.
Cut them up about 3-inch wide slices. Throw it into this guy.
And spit it out.
It makes short work of those. One thing I suggest though with this thing is that it tends to clog fast with the cardboard. So we had a couple of branches and some roots that we dug up when we did the greenhouse. So we'll throw some cardboard in, then we throw a branch in. The thicker wood and the wood chips act as a fiber for the digestive system. Cleans out everything, pops it out, it keeps it going nice and smooth. First time we did this, it was clogging up every 5 minutes. We figured out by throwing actual wood in between the cardboard, definitely made a difference. And it's smooth sailing from there.
Yeah. So we actually considered getting an actual cardboard shredder, but at this point I'm kind of adamant about not getting one because we have this guy. Why should we get one of those when we can rip up cardboard with this?
Yep.
It may take a little bit more time, but it
No
definitely
point.
shreds it down to a nice size and usable. I mean, some of these it's obviously thick, but the inside, there's definitely some small chunks. Like
It'll break down pretty quick, yeah.
it actually gets down to like particle size.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can see, the overspray over here.
yeah,
That's
all
our
cardboard.
overspray. Majority of that is about that size.
So yeah, overall I think we're doing all right. We're gonna change a few different things. I think we're gonna switch the towers around. I think a little bit just because. Not saying we're gonna get rid of the towers, but we're gonna change what we put in there. I think overall, just because some of them are just so heavy that I think we're just gonna try to switch whatever we have to what's called a deep water culture, DWC culture, and keep those heads, or just salvage them, or just harvest them all together. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But as of right now, I think we have a whole bunch ready that we want to stick in the tower that are small. They'll all start.
They'll grow again.
They'll start a new chain of growth. I think that these towers were good.
They definitely work better with a smaller cluster
work better
type
with
lettuce.
Right. They work better with something that's going to be tighter and not flowing.
Romaine
out.
likes to grow out and long.
So.
Those are the ones that are giving us the most issue.
And those are the ones that are dripping, and we're losing a lot of nutrient water. So, with that, I think we're gonna come back to you with a better plan and maybe see where we're at from there. Oh, before we end, we have these t-shirts. This is for a friend of ours, Pat Kennedy. We love you, dude. He recently passed away, and we're doing this in memory of him. There was a 5K virtual walk, and this is for him.
And he's with. Who's Pat Kennedy?
Pat Kennedy is an electrician buddy of mine. He's an IBEW member for a very long time. Very, very good hand. Everybody loved him. Great. Just a great guy. I mean, overall,
The 247 is because that's when he worked.
Well,
he worked 24/7. He was always.
He also raced, and that was his racing number, was 247, because the way he saw it was he was always, and he was definitely that person that was 24/7 all the time, just always just.
If you're working, if you need me, if whatever.
I could be 30 years old, he'd be 50 years old, and he'd be running circles around me, but that's just how he was. That guy. Great guy, and this is for him.
Yep.
Love you, Pat.
Couldn't do the 5K walk, but we did 5K worth of stuff in our yard in his honor.
Love you, Pat.